Okay, we're going to talk about angles. Yes, finally. Okay. An angle. Two rays with a common endpoint. That common endpoint is called a vertex. Okay. So two rays. Here's a ray. An angle. Two rays with a common endpoint. That common endpoint is called the vertex. So this angle that I am having you draw its vertex is point B. Okay. And its sides are rays BA and BC. Since the ray begins at B and then shoots out, the B comes first in the lettering. Okay. Yeah. Now, how do we name an angle? Okay. We can name this angle as angle B. Okay. You know what? I better be consistent here. Angle B, because that's the vertex. Okay. I can name this angle ABC or angle CBA. Okay. I'm gonna have you write that down, and then I want you to look up here, and I want to like point to things. What's your question, Tyler?
Why would you like to do that?
Let me show you. Okay, so just look up here. I can go A to B to C, and I just drew my angle. I can go C to B to A, and I just drew my angle. Okay. Or sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes there could be a number right here. So we could also call this angle 1 because there's a number 1 right there. But just sometimes, like, especially if there's more than one angle, they might label them with numbers. Okay. Yes.
Is that an acute angle? Yes.
We'll get there, but yes, yes, it is. It is so cute.
So you can't go from A to C.
No, that is a great question. The vertex always has to be in the middle if you are naming it with 3 letters. Okay. So let's just go ahead and practice. Okay, so for this drawing right here, Ben.
Angle 1.
Okay.
Classified as YWX or XWY.
Okay. Angle YWX or XWY. Okay. So angle 1 right here. And sometimes like I might draw attention to it by like putting like this little mark right here. Okay. Angle 1 can be named angle 1, angle XWY, or angle YWX. Could I name it angle W? Yes or no? No. Because there's 3 different angles with a vertex of W. So I don't know which one it is. Okay. If there's just 2 rays and only 2 rays, we can name it with that vertex. Okay. Now we also have angle 2 right here, which we could name as angle YWZ or angle ZWY. Okay. Now I said something about 3 angles. Because we have angle XWZ or angle ZWX. Okay, good. Okay. Now, I am not going to give you a formal definition of interior versus exterior. But interior of an angle, where is something going to be located? And exterior?
It's like an angle that just is like completely straight. Like it just goes like
Then we're not going to be able to really differentiate between that. Okay. So like if I'm talking about angle 1, point Z is on the exterior of angle 1, right? Because it's outside. Now, if I am talking about angle XWZ, point Y is in the interior of that angle because it's inside. Tyler.
what was like X? Is that
It's a part of the angle, so neither. It's a part of the side. Okay. Okay. This is for you, Cohen.
Are we skipping past mine?
Yeah. Okay, Cohen, an acute angle. How big?
anything below 9.
Okay. So I'm just gonna call it X for right now. Are you okay with that? All right. A right angle. Addie, how big's a right angle? So acute angle. Now, a 90-degree angle, they either need to tell you it's 90 degrees or they put this little box to say that it's 90 degrees. If it looks 90 degrees, you can't assume. You have to know for a fact that its measure is 90, or they tell you that it's a right angle, or they put the box. Okay. An obtuse angle. Colton, what's true about its measure?
It's more than 90 degrees.
But less than 180. Okay. Because we have a straight angle where the angle is 180. Well,
That's acute.
we're not going to worry about this right now.
But if
Okay.
it's more than
Okay, we are not going to worry about angles more than 180 because
it would just like
it would basically just be like a reverse obtuse. You know, do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So we're just going to worry about 0 to 180. Okay.
again.
All right. So I would like you to turn back to this page right here. You just like flip the page one previous.
22.
This is a protractor. Okay. Okay. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. So you can see the little numbers here. What I want you to do, you and your elbow partner are going to, I'm going to highlight, you know what, just the first four. You need to find their measure and classify. So how big is the degree? And then is it acute, right, obtuse, straight? You have 1 minute, maybe minute and a half, go.
Acute.
AOB. Measure and classify. What does it mean by measure?
Oh, yeah.
Degrees is
Wait, no,
measure.
it's not.
Oh,
And then classify is an acute, obtuse.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So it would be 10, 20, 35.
So that should acute,
35.
and that one's 65. So what happens if it starts on B?
I'll do AOC.
Yeah.
That would be plus 2,
65
minus 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 65.
30.
BOC.
Acute 30.
BOE.
BOE is definitely up to you.
30 seconds.
120 and 145 minus 65. That's
10,
Wait, no, it's not.
20, 30, 40, 50, 55,
I don't know.
90, 100.
Wait, 145 minus 65.
110. Yeah, 100. Because I counted, yeah.
It's one.
No, we don't just show you. We just do the first one.
Did we get it right? Acute.
Okay, voices off. Well, thank you. Jake. AOB. It is an acute angle of 35 degrees. Okay. So we say that the measure of angle AOB equals 35 degrees. That's how we would write it. Everybody write that down, please. M for measure. The measure of angle AOB is 35 degrees. What is your question?
So if it's I have to write the like angle.
No. That's a great question though. Our angle symbol will always be big. Like that is exactly what we don't need. The little, I don't care. This is what's taking up time. Tyler.
What if you like mistake the angle sign is like a greater than it was? Yeah.
You won't because you'll write it like this, not like this. You see the difference? Guess what? We won't do any inequalities. So you're not going to mistake it. Okay. Gavin, what is AOC? And what kind of an angle? Okay. So we can write that the measure of angle AOC is 65 degrees. Okay. Adri, what about BOC? So the measure of angle BOC is 30 degrees. All right, Layla, what about BOE? She's not sure about our 110. The measure of angle BOE is,
Yeah.
we don't talk like that.
No, that's a good thing.
Don't put so much pressure on her. All right. So let's go back to page 24. So back to page 24, where we're doing all of our, okay? In your own words, Stella, in your own words, what does it mean for two segments to be congruent? Oh, that's exactly it. To be the same measure. So if we're talking about congruent angles, we have angles that have, everybody, the same measure.
It's like the
Well, when we're,
like if I
I mean, for a segment, it's the same, but like for an angle, that wouldn't make sense. So angles with the same measure. If I have angles that are congruent, okay? Okay, if I have two angles that are congruent, I would write the measure of angle A equals the measure of angle B. I could also write that angle A is congruent to angle B. This notation is why you're going to miss points on the test. So pay attention. If I'm talking about the measure, we use an equal sign. If we're talking about congruent, I don't need the M for measure. Congruent means the measures are equal. Okay, so if there's numbers, we're talking about the number, like 30 degrees, 40 degrees, we're talking about the measure of an angle.
No, it happens. I am not doing that. I am not doing it.
Jake's paper just spontaneously combusts.
It has 3 pages have written, and my paper combusted.
Wait, I have my test.
Yes. Oh, that's a great question. He asked for the congruent, can we put the little ticks? This is how we're going to notate congruent angles. They'll have the same little swoop. So either they both have one swoop or they both have 2 swoops, just depending on how many angles we need to signify as congruent. Okay.
I have test corrections. They're turning in.
Yeah, you can turn them into the basket. Okay, not right now. Yeah, not right now, not right now, not right now. At the end, you can ask about test corrections. Okay, bisect. We talked about a segment bisector. It cut the segment into 2 equal parts. An angle bisector is a ray that cuts our angle into 2 equal parts. Okay, now for a segment, a point could bisect it. That is not the case for an angle. A ray bisects it. A line could bisect it also because a ray is part of a line, but a point cannot bisect an angle, only a ray or line. Okay. Now, we had something we talked about in section 1.2 called the segment addition postulate, where we could take this chunk plus this chunk and add them together. Guess what? We have something called the angle addition postulate. So I want you to come over here to this. Okay, so I want you to highlight it so it draws your attention. As long as we have a point in the interior of our angle, then we can say, like, this is what this says right here. It says RST plus PST. So RST plus PST equals our RST angle, the whole thing. If we have those, we have that point in the interior with a ray going through it, then we can add these two angles together for the sum of the two. I know, right? But I don't need your noise. Okay, don't draw this. We're just gonna do this together. Okay, so I'm gonna call this. This is point M, this is point L, this is point O, this is point N. All right, and I want to know how to fill this out. The measure of angle blank plus the measure of angle blank equals the measure of angle blank. Okay. So, Jack, what angle could I put here? What's one of my small angles? OMN. Okay. Evan, what's another small angle? LMO. And together they equal the measure of LMN. OP. Okay. Now, in your notebook, I want you to draw this picture. Draw this picture. The orange angle. Z. While you are drawing this picture, his corrections are due on Thursday. Whenever you have them done, staple your quiz to the corrections and place them in the 8th hour turn-in drawer. Jonah, was that your question?
No. My question was, could we do it on the, like, I just erased what I did.
No.
You have to do another sheet of paper.
So for the homework,
Yes.
you need to do it on another sheet of paper and attach it. Also Thursday. Yep. All right. Now you have a picture and I have some information. Okay. Anytime you have a picture and it gives you information, put that information on your picture. Okay. So I'm going to write that WXZ. I should not be using orange. So WXZ, ooh, that is 27 degrees. And then ZXY, this guy is 50 degrees. Oh, so now I have a really nice visual.
Oh my God. Oh, no.
So WXY is, okay, so sometimes the picture, that was a bad picture, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was not good.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. know, that's what everyone else is complaining about.
I don't like your shirt, by the way.
I'm so sorry that you feel that way.
I didn't even know what that means.
I like how
Okay, this is our next example. You have 1 minute and only 1 minute to draw it, and then I'm moving on. 1 minute and only minute to draw this.
Okay.
Oh, flip it as a draw. If you're talking, I'm gonna move on because that means you're done. Then you're done.
Oh, I didn't even see the little arrow.
It's not an arrow, it's a greater than sign.
That's what I meant.
You said
Or we can label it on your picture. I will solve it with you. Okay, so my suggestion would be to just draw the picture, like worry about drawing the picture. Okay, worry about drawing the picture. Okay, PQS. So this whole thing, I'm gonna do this. This whole thing is 3x plus 2. PQR is 20 degrees and RQS is 2x degrees. Keegan, what equation could we write? Where are you getting 10 from? So is this the angle division postulate or the angle addition postulate? But isn't it nice that like 20 and 2 are there, and so like 10 is a nice number, right? But we're going to add these two together for their measures like we did in the previous example. So we're going to take 20 plus 2x because those are our two little angles, and they're going to add to be our bigger angle. So I'm going to subtract 2x. And then I'm going to subtract 2.
X is 18. Yep.
Okay, now x doesn't give us any of the measures, right? We would have to say, okay, well, RQS would be 36 degrees. Now, you can do one of two things. You can plug x in for 18 in for x right here. Or I can say, oh, 20 plus 36 is 56. Okay. How do we feel about that? Okay. Okay. This is what I'd like you. We're just going to talk through this last one. We're not going to draw it. We're not going to solve it out. We're just going to talk through what we would do. Okay. Okay, I'm telling you that WY is an angle bisector. How do you know that? Because I have this congruent symbol here. So these red swooshes, that means that these two have the same measure. We still have 2 minutes. And if they have the same measure, what can I do with these two angles? Okay, you can say 4x plus 2 equals 3x plus 19, and we can solve for x from there. What is your homework? Raise your hand if you know. Oh, we have homework. Oh, it's so terrible.
How I feel.
Aiden, it's your journal page in 1.5. You have 9, count them, 9 problems. Hey, who can tell me when our test is? A week from today.